Okay, we're going to jump right into this, and tonight we're going to talk about fresh market pepper production. My name is Kyle Cecil. I'm a small farms educator. I'm a colleague of Connie, who I'll introduce in a minute, and we're both small farm educators with the University of Illinois Extension. And my colleague, Connie, is going to be teaching here a little later on. Connie's got a really good background in weed science from Ohio State University, and we were really glad to get her on here at Extension in Illinois. So Connie will be talking with us here in a little bit. So we're going to jump right into this. I grow a lot of peppers. I have I farm in addition to being a small farms educator, so I do grow a lot of peppers, and I've learned a lot of growing peppers from Jim, who's online here. So we're going to keep going here and get right into everything. So fresh market peppers. This is a real staple of the small farm. It's one of those crops that small farm growers, everyone is growing them because they're kind of they're a money maker. You can produce a lot, you can get a lot of production out of them, and they help pay the bill. So the small farmers that I work with are using them. And then there's a lot of opportunities for marketing these out there because peppers are an in-demand product. And they're not that hard to grow, really, as long as Mother Nature continues to help us with it. And there's all kinds of peppers out there. So we've got these peppers that we're growing that are native to South America, so they're of tropical origin. And we can grow them inside, in high tunnels. We can grow them in the field. They're very productive. They just thrive in a high tunnel, especially. So we see a lot of that going on. And, everybody eats peppers, and then the ethnic market, there's a lot of opportunities for small farm growers to be marketing to ethnic markets and ethnic centers in some larger communities where they're looking for these products that remind them of home and things that they're used to growing and eating. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. Here's just a quick number for you. In a 9-year period, pepper production now, that's including everything that a pepper would go into, from ketchup to hot sauces and salsas and just fresh product. 27% increase in the consumption of peppers, in a 9-year time frame. So there's a lot of demand out there from the public with these. Different types of peppers we're going to go over here in a little bit is basically the 3 types that we're going to talk about are chili peppers, which you're used to, and they can be anywhere from mild to super hot, and based on the amount of capsaicin that they have in those. We'll talk about those a little bit. The sweeter peppers don't have as much capsaicin. Typically the bell peppers that we enjoy and grow in Illinois is a big thing under the sweet category. And then the specialty peppers, which a lot of times we'll see those in some of the ethnic markets because of their unusual variety of shapes, sizes, and colors that we see. So those are 3 basic types that we're talking about out there. So here's a listing of some of them that you'll find out there, and it's just everything across the board. There's literally a rainbow of peppers that you can choose from to grow and to market on a small farm. So these are just some of them that are out there. We talked about how hot the peppers can be. If you've heard this before, just bear with me a minute, but this has to deal with Scoville heat units. And basically what that is a measure of how hot or how much capsaicin we have in these peppers. And you can see from some of these, you can see from the chart, law enforcement grade pepper spray, that has got a lot of capsaicin in it. I mean, if you get hit with that, you're going to know it. And we go all the way down here. We can look at the Tabasco peppers that we commonly have on our tables at home, a little more mild but very, very hot. All the way down to the bottom, you can see it's rated as a 0, actually, for the sweet bell peppers that are common in the marketplaces around Illinois and the Midwest. Here's a nice picture that I got. I think this was University of California, Davis, a picture here, but it's just once again to show a lot of these, and every one of these I've seen grown, in central Illinois and all across Illinois. And there's a lot of color variation, there's taste variation, there's intensity of heat variation there. And another thing that a lot of growers that I work with are looking at is on the specialty pepper side, they're growing peppers specifically, for instance, for stuffing. So they'll grow some of those that are basically kind of really hollow in the middle. and everything from value-added salsa and anything that they're growing. So there's a lot of different types of peppers out there that we can grow. I'm going to hit on a few of these specific kind of varieties that we would typically see in CSAs and farmers markets and small farms of the growers that I work with. A lot of these pictures came from growers that I work with. Anaheim is a very popular pepper, both from in grocery stores and what have you, and with CSA and fresh market farmer market products. So it can be mild to hot, basically, depending on when it's harvested. Bright green, finishes red when it's fresh, and as it dries, it's a brown pepper. So a lot of times you'll see Anaheim peppers as dried, and a lot of people use those as a dried ingredient in a lot of their recipes. So that's a very popular one. The banana peppers is another one that consumers can recognize, and we can is a very productive pepper in this part of the world. Long, there's variations in the length of them, yellow, green, basically. They will mature to the bright red, and you can get them all across the board. You can get very hot banana peppers, and you can get sweet, mild ones. Now, saying a hot banana pepper, that's bearing in mind that when we say that, it's not going to be extremely hot compared to some of the others, but you can get a hot one. And once again, there's several, variations within those that are available to plant here in Illinois. Habanero is one that I think a lot of people, if you ask them what a habanero pepper is, they would be able to tell you, and they tell you that it's fiery hot, and that's true. I don't see a lot of habanero grown except for markets that have a real demand for them. I'm seeing more small farm growers that develop a relationship with some chefs that request that this type of pepper be grown. As you can see, they're small, lantern-shaped, light green to bright orange when ripe, and they are hot. I mean, they are a hot pepper, but very popular with the clientele that is used to that. It may be part of their culture, and they're used to cooking with those. So that's the habanero. Cherry tomato, this is another pretty popular pepper that we see grown out there. They're a very small pepper. They're usually, a lot of times we'll see these pickled, and they're a sweet hot pepper, so that makes them nice to pickle, and you kind of just eat them all at once. They ripen to this red color, and they're very recognizable on the farm stand market. When people come up there, they basically know what they are, and another one of our popular peppers that we see marketed. Cayenne pepper, it's the characteristic long, thin, hot pepper, and it's red when fully ripe. I have noticed in the last few years that this is also becoming a pepper of choice to a lot of clientele in farmers markets, especially as it's one that you can dry. It's one that you can eat fresh. I've seen a lot of recipes where they add cayenne peppers fresh. It's a popular one to slice and put on sandwiches. So in the farmer market marketing scheme, this is a very, very popular, highly valued and recognized pepper. The Italian or Cubanelle is kind of you could call it a specialty type pepper. Some people might just recognize it and call it a banana pepper, but it isn't. It's not extremely hot. It's sweet. It's long, and the difference between it and a banana is that it's somewhat more flattened than what a banana pepper would be. Changes to red as it ripens, and you can basically, as you can see from this picture, it can be harvested at different stages of ripeness, and you can tell that by the color that we see with these. And the good old jalapeno, very popular in all markets, from the fresh market side all the way to the value-added pickled market. And we typically see these types of peppers in the CSA model of marketing, fresh market, farmers markets. And you can get everything across the board with the degree of hotness of a jalapeno pepper. So it can be a sweet one, mild, and very hot. This is the pepper that you see the cracking on the outside, and that's how you know that's how people know that it's a jalapeno pepper, and that's called checking. And the more of that cracking and checking we have on that, the hotter it's going to be. And that's pretty common knowledge with most people. The jalapeno is one kind of a standard a pepper that people typically know about. Serranos, I think, are one that's becoming another one of the specialty pepper popular type of peppers that are grown out there, especially with chefs. So we see a lot of the restaurant markets have recipes where it's calling for these specialty types of markets, and the Serranos are becoming very popular in there, and they do very well in this type of environment that we have here. So all these peppers that I'm mentioning to you are going to, should do very well. And then we have the old standard. The other one, of all the peppers probably that the growers I work with they market these specialty bells more than anything, because they're very sweet. They ripen to all sorts of different colors, from green to yellow to, you see, purple. There's orange ones, and so that's a lot of different variety. Chefs like that because it adds variety to the plate as they present it. There's different tastes with, between these varieties, but a beautiful thing about this is two things. With bell peppers, almost everybody knows of bell peppers and how to cook with them, and you put these types of products out there on your farm stand or your farm market stand, and it's really going to draw attention. I mean, that's a really colorful palette of colors you have on your display out there. So all kinds of specialty bells are a very common thing that we see out there. And then, within almost every one of these peppers that I talked about, there's color variations within each one of those. So, typically we don't see just one standard color with all of these peppers out there. So, peppers are really interesting to grow. I mean, they're colorful and they're fun to grow, and most of the time I see people growing different ones every year because there is so much variety with them. Let's talk a little bit about some of the marketing opportunities. The first sentence, no need for me to read that, but the fresh market options for these are all across the board in Illinois, and I have growers that I work with that sell in every one of these different types of market. And once again, like I alluded to earlier, if some of these specialty markets, you develop a relationship with them and let them know that you can grow some of these specialty products for them, that's an opportunity for you to get into a market there that maybe not many other people are in, and can help you with sales. The hot peppers are highly prized, as a cultural food. I always say food is culture. So what makes you think of your culture and back home is food a lot of times. So some of these hot peppers, these specialty peppers, are very popular in Latin American cultures and in Asian cultures, and so there's markets for those if you have these clientele that are really looking, for that connection to home and looking for that connection through food. And then some of the bigger marketing areas that we have, the ethnic grocers are interested in this too for some of the reasons that I mentioned. So there are a lot of opportunities in there, and peppers are standard in the CSA box, that goes out every week with the growers around here. So there's all kinds of opportunities for marketing. There is some opportunity now too, I think, developed in some of the value-added side of it. So I have some growers that I work with that are investigating some of the pickled product type things and the fresh frozen, if you will, market. So that's some other things to consider as we market these too. When it comes to cultivar selection, as a grower wanting to grow for fresh market production, I have a grower I work with that always tells me this, when we talk varieties, grow what your market wants, to buy from you. You may have a real interest in a certain color of a bell pepper, but if no one in your market wants that bell pepper, there's not much use for you as a fresh market producer to be growing that. So you do have to take your time and do a little market research and see what's out there, what kind of markets you have out there. And when you're doing that too, we need to think about what isn't out there, that there is a demand for. So it's more than just going around and kind of figuring out what's there already, but sometimes you got to do detective work and figure out what's not being provided to your market out there. But the market should drive what we're growing and trying to sell out there. We'll talk a little bit more about this. Growing peppers is not a lot different than any of the other products we're going to grow on a small farm. Remember that it's a tropical plant originating in South America, so it likes hot, it likes the heat, needs a lot of light. You've got to provide water for it. Do your proper soil tests and make sure you have a good idea of what your soil fertility is. pH, it likes the medium range. We'll talk about the moisture here in a minute, but on soil conditions and preparation, that'll vary by site. It's like any other crop. It likes high organic matter. It doesn't like clay soils. It likes that good soil tilth to be able to grow. And then growers, you will see no-till growers that do no-till pepper production all the way through, a conventional type tillage as they transplant these peppers. It's pretty versatile as long as you have, you're trying to optimize the growing conditions out there. So there's not a real a unique need that peppers have. If there is a unique one, it would be that it is a tropical plant, so it does like the heat. So some of the basic considerations here, peppers basically, they're not going to go outdoors until the temperature is at least, 65 degrees at least. So the vast majority, if not all the growers I work with, obviously grow their own transplants. And so they can be growing that transplant, getting ready for when that optimal that minimum temperature outside of 65 degrees is hit. They've got the transplants ready to go, and they can get them in the ground. So that's how most of them are planting these. You basically, you can have from 10 to 12,000 plants per acre, and you can figure that up on what that would be for your area. When we plant peppers, basically the spatial arrangement that we're talking about there is in a field setting. Roughly, we're going to be 18 inches within row plants, and also between rows. Also, in a high tunnel setting, we're going to get down quite a bit there. We're going to go 12 inches between plants and about 18 inches between rows, because in a high tunnel situation, that square footage in there is pretty intense, and we want to make sure that we're using it to our maximum amount there. So peppers are going to be continuously flowering. So one thing that I find that all the commercial small farm growers I work with, they're all staking plants somehow, because some of these plants, like the bell peppers, you're going to have a lot of pepper plants on there at different stages, and then there's going to be a lot of weight there. So all the growers that I work with are staking those plants and supporting that fruit development out there. Related to that also is you have to make sure that you're harvesting in a timely manner, because as those fruits mature and there's a lot of weight there, and you got others coming on, you've got to make sure you get those harvested in a real timely manner. Fertilization is pretty simple. You're going to want to get your soil tests first, and we're real hesitant about putting out broad recommendation on the soil fertility, because it's all based on your soil test. But the one thing you want to do in your fertility program is you want to do split applications, and you want to be careful that you're not using a lot of ammonium nitrogen fertilizers. As you can see, it'll affect the uptake of calcium, and you could have blossom end rot. But the other thing about nitrogen, you can see 80 pounds actual N at planting. The reason for that is you don't want so much nitrogen on there that all you get is a plant full of leaves, because you can't sell the leaves. And so you want to split that application and do it 80 pounds at planting, and then another 50 later in the growing season when that begins to set fruit. So that plant can use that additional 50 pounds of nitrogen and any of the residual nitrogen that's left to produce the fruit that you have there. And in organic fertility management, typically what we'd see is hairy vetch and cereal rye in combination with animal manures and compost being used. So especially in the organic side, with using all those products. Make sure they're all tested and you know what you're dealing with and what you're adding to your crop. A quick note on staking, I mentioned that earlier. Basically, everyone I'm working with is staking, and it says here some specialty peppers require staking, but what I found is growers are staking all of the peppers. These varieties we grow now in a commercial arena are very highly, productive. There's a lot of fruit out there, so everyone is staking them, and you can do a Florida weave just like you would with your tomatoes. Whatever works, basically stake between every 2 plants that you have out there, and even high tunnel settings. I know some growers, use individual stakes with there, but whatever staking system you want to use will work. Just make sure you're doing it so you're supporting the fruit development of the plant. So the drip irrigation, you can see by this chart, basically the rooting density by depth. So peppers aren't real deep rooters. About 90% of the pepper plant's roots are less than 6 inches long. So in a fresh market situation where you're growing it for fresh market, where you've got to make sure that you have product on there and your you have the supply, you have the quality. You have to use drip irrigation. I mean, you just have to. And it's almost the same with tomatoes now. But I come back to, once again, if you're in a fresh market situation, you not only have to have the supply, so you can't worry about, Mother Nature providing the water for us, but the irrigation, the amount of water peppers receive, and the timeliness of that irrigation is critical in terms of having a quality product out there that doesn't have blossom end rot and cracking and some other things out there. So drip irrigation is a must with peppers. I have the vast majority of the growers I work with have drip irrigation lines under a black plastic, so they're using a black plastic mulch to control weeds, and that actually helps with diseases too, with splashback. So that's a very popular management technique too. And I think at this point we're going to switch over, and I'm going to give Connie the reins with this. Isn't that right, Connie?
Yes. I really love this crop. I don't know why, just because I like the peppers and the structure of the plant. And I've been working with peppers during like maybe two and a half years, but yeah, a long time ago, but I still love the crop and I still love the peppers. So I try to have at least one plant per season. So as we can see, like in all this presentation, this crop is not difficult to grow, and usually for many farmers market, it's one of the top 10 easiest vegetables to grow. So however, the proper crop management, as Kyle mentioned before, is very crucial. So it's very important, the fertility and the water management, but still we have some issues sometimes with diseases, insects, and with control. Because altogether can affect the yield reduction at the end of the growing season. So some research indicates, like, if you don't have with a proper weed control during the first very few weeks, you can have like a losses close to 70% of your yield. So it's very severe, the damage. So for that reason, we have to consider all the time all the agricultural practices, just to have like a vigorous plant and a vigorous crop. Because our idea, probably we cannot control all the weeds or all the insects or all the diseases in the field, but we need to manage just below the economic threshold. So
yeah, Connie, I just added that as an aside to make sure that people know this is a reference that we use. So I added that one. Your slide is next.
Okay, so thank you. Yes, we were using all the time for all the diseases and all the insect management or weed control. The products that we need to use for this year are there, so it's really good, like a resource for information, updated information. So according to the American Plant Pathology Association, they say like, okay, the most huge problem every year could be like the late blight, which should be like the Phytophthora blight, or also we can have these bacterial spot. Um, so in the case of the late blight, we can identify the damage just with like these black or brown lesions with sometimes a chlorotic area in the edge. And then we can find those lesions like in the stems or in the leaves or also in the fruit later in the season. So if the weather conditions are very promoting the disease, probably the damage could be even more severe. Um, and what else? And then we don't have many options to control this disease. Sometimes we don't have any cultivar just resistant to, but the different varieties that Kyle mentioned before, the tolerance is quite different. So according to our site, probably we need to check the seed catalog and then, okay, decide according to if we have some issue in our field. Also, we can use some foliar fungicide, which is not always recommended to use it like by calendar, but I will say like, okay, if we have like a lot of rain during the summer, it's a good idea just to consider into the integrated disease management. Also, we need to decide the soil, the site to put the peppers with a really good drainage because it's very sensitive to the flood places. We need to facilitate the good air movement, but still, it's just a proper agricultural practices that can help us to have like a vigorous plant. But it's not something specific for the Phytophthora blight. So always it's really good just to scouting through the field, being familiar with the crop, with the plants, because that also helps a lot with the bacterial spot. Because it's very, this crop, it's from South America, where the weather is warm and it's very moist. So the disease is also related with the weather from there. So when we have the conditions here, the disease appears everywhere, and because it's like worldwide. This bacteria is so critical because affects the leaves, the stems, and the fruits as well, like the Phytophthora. Probably in the case of the bacterial spot, the problem is like you cannot lose all the plants, but you will have like severe malformation in the fruits. So it's non-marketable fruits, but still you will have some. So it's probably difficult just to select like, okay, which one I'm taking for the farmer's market, which I'm not taking. So that probably is the problem. The first symptom, if you want to go to your field and recognize what's going on, is this like pale green spot in your fruits, and then it's becoming necrotic with just few days. So again, probably we don't have many options to control the bacterial spot, but always we have to use certified pathogen-free seeds or transplant. We need to consider in the pepper production always the crop rotation, which is really good for also for weed control or many other things. And what else? Probably we can use like some copper containing bactericide, but still I will say like it's not a good idea because now we have some resistance to the copper. So probably something more complete, using very different tools will be better to control both. So again, it's like, okay, we need to, it's here to change the slide. We need to be more familiar with the symptoms because if we have something like virus, we cannot do anything. It's very difficult to control, just you have to kill the plants and burn the plants, removing from your field. And then we have few pictures there just to recognize the first one is like Phytophthora. And then also we have like the bacterial soft root at the very right, at the very end. And then what do we have here? Also the insect is very important because it can reduce the yield or also can affect the quality of our peppers. Because the other ones, the disease maybe are killing the plant, but sometimes with the insect they are doing just cosmetic damage or more severe damage, so we have to be concerned about both. The European corn borer or the hornworm, because the damage is like in the pepper. So again, it's very important the scouting and the use of tramps if it's possible in the field. The corn borer, they have like eggs in the underside of the leaf. The control is very difficult. So we can use like 6 pheromone tramps, but still, it's just to determine if we have some population in our field. And maybe we can spray like every 7 days, but it's not always very efficient. It's a good control, but still it's better just to control the border at the very beginning. It will be easier and more effective. And then with the other one, with the hornworm, also the problem is like it's defoliating the plants, and that will have an effect in the quality of your peppers in the future. Because if you don't have the proper foliar coverage, you can have like sun scalding your peppers. So that is the particular problem in here. It's like, okay, it's affecting the leaves, and then the leaves are affecting the fruit. So maybe it's a long-term damage. Here we have the aphids. Also, the aphids are very problematic and very common in this crop. So if we can control the population of aphids very low, it's not that bad. Because here, just the problem is like this honeydew in the leaves or in the pepper in the fruit. So the people is not attracted to buy something with the honeydew. And again, we have another problem with the aphids, and if they are spreading some viruses, and that could be maybe a major problem rather than the economic value of the damage for the honeydew. So I will recommend like using the guide and using also those like the tramps in the field. Maybe we can use like this systemic insecticide. It's a good option too. But also the earlier detection is better. And scouting the field always is the option. And if you want more information about which product we can use and the rates, you can always check the Midwest Vegetable Production Guide, and there we have the link. You can have like the PDF, and it's really good because you can select by family or you can select by the crop. So in this case, you can go to just the peppers, and it's very summarized. It's just what do you need. So that's why I really like it. And then here, I really like this. I really like the weed control on peppers because it's very difficult sometimes because we don't have so many herbicides to use. So we need to create some like integrated using many like cultivation on herbicides or mulch. So trying to get like many different approach to control weeds. Because the problem with the weeds is like, okay, they clearly compete against the limited resources, but also they can have some effect on the allelopathy because the weeds can produce some biochemicals which are affecting the pepper plant in the future. And also, they can be like a harbor for many insects, that, like the aphids, and then the aphids are affecting some viruses in the field. So it's everything related. We need to incorporate all the agricultural practices to control the weeds, because weeds can have some insects like aphids and then the viruses. So it's every year is the same. We need to try to get like this complete approach for this crop. So, and also, if you are a grower, you need to create your strategy to control your pests or your pathogens or your weeds according to your needs. So I cannot come here and say like, okay, you want to do this and that. It's very variable. Also, it's really good because it's like, okay, change according to your reality, and also change according to the varieties that you have in your field. So if you are growing like Anaheim or jalapenos or serranos, the tolerance to the herbicide is very, very variable. So maybe you can use the same herbicide, but sometimes the rate is quite different. So if you can, try to check with your seed company or your transplant company if they have any record or any report telling you the variation in the tolerance to different chemicals. So here we have like this summary. It's from the book. So if you want to learn more about in detail, you can find the information there. Always, it's really good to have like a really, really good control of all the weeds at the very beginning. So using a burn down herbicide, it's really good. You can use like just Roundup to have any weed in your field. And then right after the transplant, we have just few options to control broadleaf weeds. So I put like there the list. So you have like clomazone, napropamide, pendimethalin, trifluralin, and then just to control broadleaf, we have alsulfuron-methyl, and then just to control grasses, we have benzoylide, that is really close to the transplant. And then during the growing season, we have like few more herbicides, but still you need to be very careful because I have like their glyphosate and paraquat, like Gramoxone or Roundup, but that should be like just in between rows. You can avoid all the contact with the green tissue. If you are spraying some glyphosate over your pepper, you are killing your pepper. So you need to be very careful. It's not the same with the other herbicides to control grasses because those are specific to control narrow broadleaf. So probably you can spray over your pepper and you will be fine. But still, try to don't use herbicide. Try to use, like, if you have like a small farm, probably some cultivation or using some mulch. You can use plastic, or you can use a straw, or you can use bark. So many other types of mulch can reduce your needs of herbicide. And I think it's better. What else? As I mentioned before, I did this study like in 2008, and here is clear the difference between the same herbicide just 1 week after transplant, and how you can see with the first one it's okay, but the last one it's a stunt and it's with the necrotic tissue, it's almost dying actually. And then in the middle you have like one with a chlorotic leaf. So sometimes your peppers, if they are very vigorous, they can recover right after. But sometimes with these specialty varieties, those were selected by the taste and the quality of the fruit. So they are not so vigorous, and that's why they compete very, very poorly with the weeds, and they are very sensitive to the herbicides. What else we have here? We have here the problems when we have this particle drift, which what will be an issue in the coming, well, it's probably an issue right now. When they are using in another crop 2,4-D or dicamba or any other growth regulator herbicide, if the application of those herbicides is not done properly, you can have some injury in your peppers, and the pepper is very, very sensitive to very low rates. Those pictures are from 100 rate of the 2,4-D, and it's a simulated drift in greenhouse. But you can see like the veins and the malformation in the top, and that is 1 week after the application. So what else? And also, it's very important I forget to mention, it's the particle drift and also the volatilization, because 2,4-D and dicamba, the formulation are very volatile. So also you can spray a field far away from your peppers, but just a result of this volatilization, the herbicide can move many miles. So if you or your neighbors are using 2,4-D or dicamba, I will recommend to use like the salt formulation, just in a way to protect your peppers. So now we have like abiotic disorders. Those are like non-infectious agents, so are caused by the environment or the fertilization. So we have here the sun scald. When the fruit is exposed to the sun, because we don't have enough leaves or foliage, the area affected at first turns white, and then it doesn't ripe. And the damage is very localized. And then we have in the other side this like the cracking, and the cracking is very often right after the rain. And the problem with both the sun scald and the cracking is like you have your peppers, but you are reducing the marketable fruits and the quality, because in the farmers market the people is quite more concerned about like the pretty or a good shape and brilliant or shiny peppers. So if you have like those little things, the quality is okay, but doesn't look that good. And also we can have some problems when the water when the irrigation is not good enough, or it's irregular, it's not properly done. Also, the blossom end rot, you mentioned before, Kyle, that is related with the calcium problem. And that is, it starts, well, sorry, the picture that we have here is a tomato in the right side, but it's the same. That is started at the end, at the bottom, like a little spot, and then when the season is the weeks are passing by, the spot is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But to me, the problem is not the spot per se. The problem is like that spot could be like a perfect entry for new pathogens or new pathogens, bacterial or any other disease to the fruit, and then it's affecting the quality of the fruit. And then we have here the flower. It's just because this problem also is caused when you have like calcium deficiency during the flower formation, and that is the result. Maybe sometimes some other extension offices, they recommend amendments with calcium, but there are not evidence to do it, because the result sometimes is not related with the calcium, sometimes it's like both, the water and the calcium at the same time. So try to provide sufficient water. This crop needs like liters of water during the season. So try to have like the proper amount of water every day, just to avoid some damage like this. And then we have the harvest. The harvest is very important because, okay, we did everything properly. We select the plants, the agricultural practices, the weed control, the management, but now the harvest is very important. It's very crucial. because we need to avoid any injury during this handling and harvesting process. And also, we have to remove as soon as possible the heat from the peppers. Okay, so if we can collect the peppers from the field, we put in the bin, and then if we have more heat, that increases the respiration, so the shelf life is shorter. And also, when you are harvesting the peppers, at the same time, when you are harvesting, you are promoting the formation of new flowers on the top, and that is very interesting. So if you are always harvesting when those peppers are green, you are promoting more flowers in the follow. You have like layers. So you are promoting in the second one, and right after you are harvesting there, you are promoting in the top, and go on. So if you want to harvest frequently, you have to storage your peppers up close to 95% of relative humidity, maybe around like 45 Fahrenheit degrees. That will be the optimum temperature and humidity for extended shelf life between 3 to 5 weeks. Also, it's very good, it's very important just to harvest your peppers when are ripe, because if you are harvesting in the proper time, you can extend the shelf life. So if we want to extend the storage, when you are harvesting the green ones, or when they are in the process to being green to being red, as soon as you harvest your pepper, if they don't have close to 50% of the color, they are not getting any color. So you need to be careful if you want to sell them as a red or as green, or in the other case like a purple or orange or yellow. Is the same, is the process. If they are having a color, the harvest should be right after they have more than the 50% of the coverage with that color. The storage also is very important, because if you are storing your peppers, let me see, right after 45, above 45, it's too warm, so the shelf life will be shorter. But if right below 45, it's too cold. So you can have like some injury, like chilly injury, even in post-harvest, because the plant is very sensitive in the field, but the fruit is also very sensitive during the storage. You cannot storage the peppers with apples or other fruits that are producing ethylene. The peppers are not very sensitive to ethylene, but still, which is a natural hormone for the ripening. So it's not very, very sensitive. There we have like many other crops that are more sensitive to, but still, just to extend the shelf life, we recommend that, okay, storage them in a separate room and try to put like in, what is the name? In a cool room. So also, if you want to extend the shelf life, there is the injury with the chilling injury. That is the symptom. It's very soft and very dull. It's very white first, and then it's getting brown and pale. If you are like a grower medium size or bigger, it's really recommended to use with this like air force. So where you can remove the heat from the area close to your peppers to reduce the temperature. But if you are smaller, maybe like a, what is the name? Just a room, a cooler room will be good enough.
Connie, can I make a comment?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, last year, I'm going to go back one slide because we really saw this last year with the growers that I work with field peppers, is this third point here that fruit ripening and coloring will continue, at temperatures. above 50 degrees. We saw people, I had a lot of growers that were selling fresh peppers to the same customer that was coming out and buying pumpkins. And we saw just tremendous harvests and tremendous fruit quality all the way up until that first night that we got a hard freeze here, you know, especially in central Illinois. So that season lasted an extremely long time, and those peppers were, you know, doing very well. And I thought it was a really neat opportunity that we were selling fresh peppers to the same people that were buying their Halloween pumpkins. So I just wanted to make that note.
Oh, thank you. So, well, I will say, like, in summary, like, we always have to promote this, like, all the agricultural practices to improve the vigor of the crop, because it's not so vigorous per se. So we have to do it, like, to make it more vigorous. So the fertilization, the proper site selection, the proper crop rotation are very crucial for this really good pepper production. And then we have to select the varieties according to this, like, the long-term objective. Kyle mentioned before, this is really good option for the specific market. Or if we are going to the farmer's market, also it's really good. We can have, like, this long growing season, so that it's really good too. And then here in Illinois, we don't have so many problems with the pepper production as in another states. I'm up here in Lake County, and we have so many. We have, like, a lot of pepper production, very in the gardening, and it's like the small farmers. They have this, and they are working well. They don't have so many issues. So I think, like, they are in the perfect conditions just to do it like this, integrate pest management, so we cannot use so much herbicide. We can start small. We can do it well. So I think that it's a really good option for small farming here. So thank you.